Hi guys, Paul from Journey of a Petrolhead. Today we're looking at a Mercedes SL class. Now these came out in '89 based on the '85 Mercedes E-Class, the really successful E-Classes back when Mercedes were built properly. And they didn't tend to fall apart and didn't have electronic problems. These ones worked really well. So Mercedes had such a successful E-Class that designed the SL class on a shortened floor plan of this E-Class. This car was also the first to have adaptive dynamic suspension and a rollover hoop. So this is a convertible with a hard top fitted. We thought we'd show you one with the hard top because everybody sees the one with the soft tops. What happened was, if the car was going to pop, it detected a rollover action, the hoop hopped up straight away and everybody's totally safe. No other car did this before. And adaptive dynamic suspension way back then, that's very impressive in a car of this age. 1989 this was launched at the Geneva Motor Show in March based on that E-Class. So the quality of this is back to how Mercedes should have been in those days, right? Now, over the years, you had various upgrades and various generational changes. I'm going to have to take out a piece of paper and go through them all. There's so many is the problem, right? But what we had was, in some of the later classes, they came with xenon headlights. Now, this one doesn't have xenon headlights. This is an SL280, so it's got the 200 horsepower engine, the V6. Sorry, I'm wrong, the inline 6, not the V6. Later ones, the V8, SL500, SL600, they had xenon headlights as well. Way back in the 90s. I mean, that was very far ahead of its time. Very impressive, right? The lines along this car are really nice as well, and that's why they sold in huge numbers. Now, I'm going to have to pull out the cheat sheet here. Sorry, viewers, because it's just so many things to remember. But what happened was, in '94, they changed them from the 300SL to the SL300. No particular good reason to do that. What they also did was, they changed the odometer from manual to electronic. There was an upgraded stereo, a Bose stereo, and this car doesn't have a huge cabin space, so the Bose stereo would have had great quality. And they put additional speakers in. They added a mobile phone with voice dialing option. Again, Mercedes leading the charge. Nobody had this before. So Mercedes were known back then in their S classes for generating new technology, and everybody copied. And this is another example of the same thing. Don't forget the rollover hoop and the adaptive suspension. Way back in the 80s. I mean, '89 this came out in the motor show, don't forget, right? '96, they then improved it again. They put in the body colour bumpers. You can see this is that generation. The vents in the wings you can't see from over there, but we'll show you when we get around to the side. The vents are 2 slots instead of 3 slots, right? A 5-speed automatic transmission. They did come with a good automatic transmission. And it's the automatic transmission is the one you want. The manuals were a bit ponderous. They didn't sell very many of those. They also fitted, in 1996, they fitted side airbags. Mercedes, way ahead of the charge, lads. They just are. In 1997, they came out with a panoramic roof option, automatic wipers, and a new climate control system, electronic climate control system instead of the mechanical one they had beforehand. And then in '99, we came with this face, right? So what they did was they put new V8 engine, new rear lights we'll look at in a few minutes, body coloured door handles and bumpers, and new seats. So, I don't know, 1989 for something with this kind of technology to come out. I know some of those upgrades were over the life of the machine, but in 1989 for some of these to come out, it was way ahead of its time, right? It actually got runner-up to car of the year in 1989. What won car of the year in 1989? The Citroen XM. Right, it was ahead of its time, but it wasn't the build quality of this machine. I mean, look at the lines of this. This is the kind of car I would love to have. And I mean, 11 grand would buy you this one. We're back in Carl Goodwin Motors again today, and we've borrowed this off them. And 11 grand buys you a 00 SL280 with a straight 6 200 horsepower engine, 5-speed transmission, and all the various toys. I mean, it looks fantastic in black, and it's just a nice car to be in. So what we're going to do is we'll take you on a run down the side of the car, and we look at the back of the car so you can see the new lights that they put in and the various double tailpipes that some of the cars have. This doesn't, it's only an SL280. So why don't we go do that now? Hey guys, a quick intro to the engine then of the SL280. Now, we popped the lever. The lever is on the left-hand side of this car. Just open that, because it was obviously designed as a left-hand drive car, so they never moved the lever for opening the bonnet. That's fine. So it's just here on the left-hand side. Now, when it comes to opening the actual bonnet itself, people can't find a handle for this thing. It's actually in the Mercedes badge, just underneath the Mercedes. Pull that, up it comes. Okay. Now, this is the SL280, the 2.8 6-cylinder engine. So let's have a quick look at the engine bay and see what's going on in here. So what we have is, come on a bit closer, Mr. Cameraman. Screen wash, that's fine. Coolant, very easy to see the coolant. We like that idea. There's our brake fluid up there. We can see the brake, and it's very easy to see. It's nice and clear. We know how much brake fluid we have. That's fine. There's the radiator. Changing the headlight bulbs is actually very, very simple. You just put your hand in here, pop a few little clips, out come the bulbs. So there's a lot of room in this engine bay because this is a smaller engine. So that's fantastic. We can actually access everything quite easily. There's your ABS system. These cars have ABS. I might have forgotten to mention that up before now. And it's all nice and easy. It's very well laid out. Very easy to check the oil level. There's our dipstick over here. And a nice big air cleaner. So everything in here is simple. It's not one of these modern cluttered engines where you can't see anything. It's all nice and easy to do. Okay, so as we said, we looked down the side of the car. So what you can see in some of the later facelifts, this is the last generation. Look, you have the 2 air vents here. In the earlier ones, you had 3, and they were straight slots, not rounded off at the side. So that's how you know this is a later generation car. We also have the hardtop. Now you can actually see the lines of this hardtop. Most hardtops, this is not built into the car. This is removable. It takes 2 people, you lift it straight off. Sorry, we had a van coming in our filming set. How dare they? So this is fitted with a heated rear window that clicks into the settings here, and you control it all from inside the dashboard with standard switches. And for the winter, it's a perfectly fine hardtop, right? So your soft top is completely protected. There's no hassles with any of that. And we also have the standard 17-inch wheels, which came out in the later facelifts. Some of the other cars, the SL500s and 600s, they bigger wheels. I actually, you know what I'm like on wheels, I've said this several times in the past, sometimes the wheels are too small for the wheel arches. I actually think the 17s fill the wheel arches here really, really nicely. I do like the overall side look of this car. It's a nice, clean design. And don't forget the shorter wheelbase from the E-Class. It looks great. The rear overhang is not huge, but we were reversing this car out of a spot earlier on, and it's a little tricky to actually understand where the car ends. So we don't have parking sensors in the back. It would be handy if we had. This kind of predates them, which is a bit of a shame. But it's not overly unmanoeuvrable. It's just a little tricky to judge at times. I mean, what have we got there? We've got maybe a 2-foot overhang. Over time, I imagine with practice you'll get used to it, right? What you'll notice is we don't have a large overhang on the front, so the handling of this should be nice, right? And again, it's rear-wheel drive like all Mercedes. So 200 horsepower through the rear wheels with a 2.8 straight 6 engine. Looking forward to taking this for a test drive. Okay, so around the back, here's your heated windscreen. They have a retracting aerial as well. Now that's handy. A lot of modern cars actually have the aerials in the rear window heater. This predates all that naturally. And what Mercedes were worried about was the aerial was going to be snapped off in a car park. So you turn the ignition on, turn the radio on, aerial goes up and down. Nice touch. I had it on MX-5 before as well. Nice touch. You see, this is the SL280. This replaced the SL300, which was initially the 300 SL, don't forget. The 3-litre engine had 190 horsepower. This particular engine has just over 200 horsepower, depending on which source you look at. Some say 204, some say 201, depends on what you're looking at, right? And you'll notice these are the new rear lights. I prefer these upgraded rear lights that came out near the end of its life. Much, much nicer than the original ones. There's nice lines in them. And final thing, you see one big huge exhaust pipe. She doesn't have double pipes on this one. The 55 AMG versions and the SL60 AMG versions with the really big engines, the V12 models, they had double pipes. This doesn't, and you have a high level brake light. All in all, for a car that is 10 years old, the design has dated really, really well, and this is what Mercedes did well in those days. The quality of these was really good. They're reliable, as long as you service them regularly, same with every other car, but they look modern still, right? And you don't get many cars with this kind of nice lines. And we're deliberately showing you this one with the hardtop on, because you don't see many of them with the hardtop on. Everybody sees them with the roof down and all that kind of stuff. This is nicer with the hardtop on, so we're going to show you that. All through this video, we'll show you how the hardtop looks. Because you can just remove it as a soft top. You see many of them as soft tops, you don't see many with the hard top on. Okay, that's a walk around, an introduction to the SL. What we're going to do now is we're going to switch, we're going to have a look at the interior of the car, how the interior is dated over time, what kind of controls you got with it. As always guys, thanks for watching, like and subscribe, and don't forget to look at the next video.